Apparently, Superman is super woke, and the MAGAs are super mad about it.
And evidently, Justin Bieber dropped a surprise new album called Swag. It's called Swag, and Fran is obsessed with this album. She wanted to talk about this album. She was like, "Can we talk about Justin Bieber?" I said, "Girl, I got stuff to do."
Oh
She
my
said, "Let's
God.
talk about this album."
Well, I'm trying to keep it like topical and fun and trendy, and the kids are talking about the Bieber.
I mean, I also just feel like part of my resistance, honestly, is that like
Mhm.
if it's giving Lindsay Lohan early aughts, it's giving Britney Spears. It's like we're watching a train wreck happen, and I'm like,
Uh,
I'm not dipping my celery in this ranch and taking a bite. I'm not doing it.
okay, you know what? But you'll dip your celery in everything else. Fine.
Show they swing my way. Another thing is the tourists in Barcelona visiting Spain are getting wet still, but it ain't from the beaches.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I don't know the
Yes.
story. You added it to the doc, but the one that you and I have been texting about offline is Miss Mary J. Blige.
Man.
Our good sis is currently on the For My Fans tour, but if you've seen the viral clips, it's giving for a check. She said, I gotta get through this.
Girl, she was leaning on the scaffold. I said, wait a minute. Damn. Need a kickstand.
Yeah.
And there also may be a housing crisis here in America, but Rosie O'Donnell, who is not currently living here, is living rent-free in Trump's head because evidently they're starting again.
Yeah, they've been beefing forever, and we're going to
Decades.
get into it. All that and more this week on
Lemme Fix
It.
Ooh, wait. No.
Listen.
Listen.
Wait.
I hate you for that.
Let me fix it. Hi, welcome back. I'm Francesca Ramsey. I'm an actress, I'm a producer, a writer, and graphic designer.
And I'm DeLon Grant. I'm an actor, a singer, photographer, writer, and an educator. And I hope y'all are loving it. Well, you are loving it because you're letting us know that you love the YouTube format because we are really enjoying this YouTube format.
Oh, y'all were blowing up the comments on the last episode. It was super fun. We have so much to talk about, DeLon. Let's just dive right in.
Let's go.
This Rosie O'Donnell, I put it together as Rosie O'Donnell and AOC. They stay on Donald Trump's neck. They are not letting him get away from scrutiny as he should.
And you know why it is? Because they're very smart women who aren't afraid to use their what? Voice. Okay?
Yes.
You can't handle it.
And it's so interesting because the reasons that he dislikes both of them, yes, you're correct. Them being women is part of it. But I feel like Trump hates Rosie in particular because she is a lesbian. And because she is plus size, because the way he's talked about her through, like, it's been 30 plus years that they've been feuding, and he has said so many nasty things about her. But most recently, he posted on Truth Social that he thinks that Rosie's citizenship should be revoked. He said, because of the fact that Rosie O'Donnell is not in the best interest of our great country, sir, I am seriously considering taking away her citizenship. She's a threat to humanity and should remain in the wonderful country of Ireland if they want her. God bless America. Just like so delusional, but also terrifying that our president would get on the internet and say this about, no shade, Rosie, a comedian that's not even what has she done that makes her a threat to our country?
Well, and here's the thing. Donald Trump uses rhetoric that applies to him. So take out Rosie O'Donnell and put in Donald Trump, and that is what he's saying, right?
Oh,
First of all,
every accusation is a confession.
Right. One finger pointed out and three back at him. But the other part of it is, like, to your point about it being scary, he can't, well, let me say he cannot. He thinks he can do this. Yes. And I think we're at a crossroads right now where the courts are helping us, but we have to tell this delusional soul, this is not how our democracy works. You don't have the power to do it. Now, I say that not knowing what machinations are happening in the White House and, Congress, don't get me started on my politics, but Congress is currently complicit in all of it. So all we have is the courts right now.
Yeah.
But they are pushing back, and he cannot do this. And if he tries to do it, Rosie O'Donnell is a motherfucker who has enough money to push back. So
hello. Can I circle back for 1 second and just say machinations? I believe that is an SAT word class.
know,
If you're new here, you will notice that one thing Delon's going to do is flex that degree.
He loves
said,
a
"Are you learning?
word.
Do you read?"
Sometimes it takes work to know this much. This head ain't that big for nothing now.
If you know what machinations is, please tell us in the comments, because I'm using my context clues to figure that one out.
But I also think I'm going to leave that to the class. Get in the comments. So tell us what you think machinations mean. It's not. I don't think it's an SAT word. I think it's like an auntie word. I think that's Southern auntie. The machinations back there. She doing them machinations.
When you put the accent on it, I definitely can hear someone's.
It just feels like an older word,
Okay, well, I do want to highlight that Rosie O'Donnell did punch back at Donald Trump on her Instagram. Yes. She posted a photo of Donnie with Jeffrey Epstein. And she says, "Oh, you're rattled again? 18 years later, and I still live rent-free in that collapsing brain of yours."
Go ahead,
Rosie O'Donnell said,
"Go ahead.
Fuck what you heard.
Talk about words.
I'm gonna read this bitch. She says, "You call me a threat to humanity, but I'm everything you fear. Ooh, a loud woman, a queer woman, a mother who tells the truth, an American who got out of the country before you set it ablaze, and you build walls. I build a life for my autistic kid in a country where decency still exists. You crave loyalty. I teach my children to question power. You sell fear on golf courses. I make art about surviving trauma." Okay, she's also giving me like slam poetry. You know what I mean? You lie.
Not iambic pentameter. Okay. Give me Shakespeare over here.
I mean, she's giving me Def Comedy Jam. You lie, you steal, you degrade. I nurture, I create, I persist. You are everything that is wrong with America, and I'm everything you hate about what's still right with it. You want to revoke my citizenship? Go ahead and try. King Joffrey with a tangerine spray tan.
You better give me a Game of Thrones reference.
And I never was. Okay, I'm here for it.
But also, you know what? I know this was right in her note stock. She was making them edits. The last thing I'll say is I am somewhat critical, better phrase. I think we ought to be somewhat critical of people like Rosie O'Donnell, like Ellen DeGeneres, like who is the woman who was in Charmed? I forget. Alyssa Milano.
Yes.
These people have money to just uproot and go to another country. The rest of us don't have that ability.
Yes.
So no shade. Like, if I had the money, I would do it too, right? If I felt the need. But I also think like it is
a tremendous privilege.
It's a lot of privilege, and it needs to be. We can hold it up. Two things can be true at the same time. We can also say that's, you're lucky, girl.
Yes, I agree. Many things can be true. She mentioned it here. She has an autistic child. She has queer children. She herself is queer. I have a little bit more leeway for queer people that want to leave this country because like that's some shit. But I'm so not here for rich white people that keep being like, well, I guess I'm going to stay in my Portugal home for a year. I'm like, you are not.
Right.
We don't relate,
Right. And that is part of the problem. The part of the problem is just looking the other way. And I think part of the problem is we don't have a sense of the collective. It is individual. It's me, and mine. And I understand, Rosie, you have a family to take care of, and I get it. Mm-hmm. But you also have a platform, which I think you're using, but I think, again, we have to criticize it.
I think you say it perfectly in that many things can be true. And what we do need is we need people that have the funds and the financial access. Again, I don't know where Rosie's putting and the platform, where she's putting her money. But I always encourage people, even if you can only donate $5 to one of the bail funds or, $10 to abortion access or whatever it is that is the cause that you champion, we need you to do that rather than just picking up and leaving, because the rest of us, I'm still here. So go ahead.
You mentioned, I was just going to jump to the Epstein thing.
Yes.
You mentioned Jeffrey Epstein and MAGA world is imploding. Okay. Mm-hmm. So after making a campaign promise, suddenly, well, let's talk about the campaign promise. Pam Bondi, who is the Attorney General, Trump, the FBI God, that's a Freudian. FBI guy, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino, who's the
these
assistant.
Names that I
girl, that's day in the politics. All of these people in our government promised MAGA that they were going to release the Epstein Files day one. Evidently, we don't even know that this dossier actually exists, but they've been talking about it forever. So they fed these breadcrumbs to MAGA, and then all of a sudden they just made a quick turn and said, oh, there
Mm,
aren't any. It's actually not important.
yeah.
And what it is, class, is evidently uh, Epstein had a client list that
Mm-hmm.
told you all the people who were doing the same shit he was, the pedophiles
Yes.
and all that kind of stuff.
He was trafficking young women, and there's, they were going somewhere. He was supplying them to someone, And
Right.
so to your point, it's been this back and forth. I put a tweet in here because I thought it said it so perfectly. It's like, we're going to release the files. There's no files. There's video that nothing happened. Oh, we had to edit the files. There's no files. There's no video. But the Democrats made it. Why do you care so much about this? What are files? Like,
So what are files is like so ridiculous.
the gaslighting is bonkers. And Pam Bondi has said, we're not going to release it. It's not a big deal. And now Trump is like, why do you guys care so much? This
You're
is
still
not a
talking
big
about
deal.
Epstein?
We're still talking about this. And to your point, Delon, MAGA is not buying it. Now, is this going to be enough for people to leave the cult? I highly doubt
Probably
it.
not, but you know what?
No.
The Schadenfreude of watching the fissures happen is enjoyable,
Mm-hmm.
and I do think this is not the first thing that's breaking the MAGA apart, right? Because
Yeah.
when you have a platform that says I'm going to stop the wars on day one, I'm not going to get in any more wars, I'm going to bring down grocery prices,
The
I'm
eggs aren't going to be $20.
right. When you make all those promises and then you don't achieve any of them, and then you talk about taking people's health care with a big ugly bill, right?
Yeah.
That just passed. Like, people start to look and go, okay, well, none of these things are adding up. One of the I'll just read one of these quotes from a MAGA person. I assume they're a MAGA person. I don't know.
Yeah.
They said, this is
These
going to
are
cost
all
you.
on Truth Social. This is
Oh,
like his
goodness. Did she have an account?
No.
Oh,
No, these are like the screenshots that have been going around because
I
people are sharing
see.
them. Because I don't have a Twitter anymore. I'm not calling it X, but I grab these because they're always floating around like Reddit
I see.
and Facebook. So yeah, no, I'm not on Truth Social. But if the people that are commenting, these are like hardcore Trump fans because that's who's over there.
Right. That's who has a Truth Social or whatever it's called. So this person says, this is going to cost you so many supporters. I being one of them. I've been to multiple rallies and even was there on January 6th. God damn. This is one of the main things that needs fixing. Our two-tiered system of justice needs to end. We the people are tired of it. They can't be charged with child trafficking without there being perpetrators. Alan Dershowitz, I can't read the rest of it, but they talk about Alan Dershowitz, who was accused of being one of them, has been seen on the list when he went to defend himself. MAGA is blowing up, and I dare I say the left, whatever that means nowadays. The left is also just eating it up. Eating it for dinner.
I think it's one of those things where, like, it's like a very small silver lining. Like, this is a terrible situation that we're in, but to your usage of Schadenfreude, which I hope I'm saying correctly, it's like, well, this is something is better than nothing. But unfortunately, I just don't think that this is going to actually convince people to step away. There's so much deconstructing that needs to happen, and everything that I've heard about cults, because I've been listening to this book about a woman who left a cult, is that the process is really lengthy. And oftentimes when you first have like the light bulb moment, it often causes people to double down because they do feel so embarrassed and they realize that like they've bought completely in, that they're like, I'm just gonna, you know what it's like? It's like when you decide you're gonna go on a diet and you like clean out your entire fridge and you're like, well, fuck, I guess I just have to do this now.
Well, the psychological disassociation, right, that all around is nuts to me. It's like, I equate it to an abusive partner too, right? Like, they love you. They give you so many things, or they say so many things, but they're also stealing from you, right?
Well,
they're also like hitting you.
You bring that up, and it really does. When you read the way that MAGA talks to Trump, they're always like, I love you so much. You're really great. But there's just like one thing that's like, they're always like, I was there on January 6th. I've given you all this money. I have all the merch. Like, I got a Donald Trump tattoo. Everything is cool. But can I keep my health care? Like, they all posture in this way that really feels like, they're afraid they're going to get hit, You know, they
Right.
know
And that's
he
not to make
lashes
light
out.
of
No,
abuse at all, but
no,
the
but
comparison
it's that
is there.
it's what I think it's called, like, fawning, when you are in a situation where you feel endangered and so you try to appeal to your captor. I know they've used like
Oh,
Stockholm syndrome in the past, but there's been some pushback around the idea of Stockholm syndrome, that it's like not really real.
oh,
But
really?
yeah, I forget like what the story actually is. Class, tell us in the comments if you remember this, but there was some controversy around like what actually happened with Patty Hearst, the woman that was
Uh-huh.
kidnapped,
Uh-huh.
and how Stockholm syndrome kind of became this catch-all that was used to almost
Excuse
kind
a
of
little bit.
absolve people. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think there was like some conflicting ideas around like if that was accurate or not. But
It's giving
Fawn,
affluenza.
yeah, I think that was part of it, where like some random guy came up with the term, and then like 20 years later, people were like, "Was that a real doctor? Like, who actually came up with that?"
Who was that man who just stepped in the
That guy.
frame?
He's like, "I have an idea," and then he just like ran away.
Well, and also not for nothing, but Hearst's family had a lot of money, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know exactly the details. This is us going off on a tangent, as we are
Right.
wont to do, but I did want to highlight that AOC tweeted out, "Wow, who would have thought that electing a rapist would have complicated the release of the Epstein Files?" And people have been very upset that she said this, and they've been trying to push back on it. But you know, she's standing 10 toes down. She said what she said. I don't disagree with her.
Pushing
That's his
pushing
friend.
back. Pushing back how?
Oh, Delon, the people wanting to split hairs about like, well, he's not actually a rapist.
Girl
He was
bye.
just
Girl
found
bye.
legally liable.
Girl
Like,
bye.
yeah,
Goodbye.
you know what I mean? If it quacks
Goodbye.
like a duck, if it
Talk
walks
about
like
it.
a duck, like,
Well, this is the gaslighting that
yes,
like drives me crazy. Is that you're
yeah,
trying to tell me it's well, I only put my hand on top of her chest, so I didn't put it under the
mm-hmm,
dress. What are you talking about, sir?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy. I mean,
No,
not that that's
absolutely.
Donald Trump's journey. That's me using an example, but like what?
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right,
Uh,
let's talk about this tourism thing that you added to our list.
Yeah, so Fran, you know I'm obsessed with Spain. I'm
Mm-hmm.
obsessed with Barcelona as well. So we missed this when we went to Barcelona a couple years ago for my
Mm-hmm.
birthday. But right after, there started to be protests from
Mm-hmm.
locals where they
Mm-hmm.
were taking squirt guns and squirting at tourists at cafes
Why?
because they were protesting the rents. Right, there's no real estate.
Oh.
Actually, when I was there, when I was taking a taxi back to the airport in Barcelona a couple years ago, I was like speaking in Spanish with my taxi driver, and he was telling me like I was born at this specific corner in the heart of Barcelona. He was like, I make
Mm-hmm.
13 euros a month, 1300 euros, excuse me, a month, and I cannot afford to live there. Why?
Oh,
Because
just
Airbnbs have,
yeah.
well, short-term rentals have taken over that
Mm-hmm.
the city for tourism, and people now. I will say this: the Catalonia, who is the state in Spain, and I think Spain in general has said they were going to phase out Airbnbs by 2028 or something, or like diminish
Okay.
them, right?
Okay.
But people were tired of it. They were like, I live here, I'm from here, and I can't even afford to live in Barcelona proper. So they started
Yeah.
having these protests, and then they were just the tourists were looking out, and they just started spraying them with squirt guns.
I mean,
Um,
listen, they're lucky that it was just water. That's
talk
what I
about
would be
it.
afraid of. It's like, what
Talk
is
about
in
it.
that bottle, you know?
Right. So I was like,
Ooh.
okay, Spain's off the list. Spain's off the list. But it also started happening in Mexico City. I also enjoy Mexico
Oh.
City. And I would go to Mexico
Mm-hmm.
City and I would get a really, really nice Airbnb. And like I think it's Zona Romantica. That might be Puerto Vallarta. Anyway, specific areas that are very tourist friendly. But then
Mm-hmm.
after 2020, COVID, people were just starting to work online and fucking moving to Mexico,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it was cheaper.
Oh,
And
that was
so
during the height of the pandemic. There were a lot of people when you and I went to
Puerto Escondido.
Puerto Escondido. We met a ton of people that were like, "Yeah, I came here during the pandemic and I just
I've been here
never
for
left."
7 months. What?
More than 7 months, and there are people, so many people. Delon, we were at this bar. I don't know if you remember this, and we started talking to this guy, and he was like, "You should just move here." And I thought he was just being
Oh,
cheeky,
that was
and then I
yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm good. And he was like, no, really, you should. I'm like, no, I have things to do. Like, I have a dog, I have,
Right.
rent, like I have a life. And he was like, you could just do that here. I'm like, no, I really couldn't. And I don't
It was
want to.
it was giving like beach bum. It was giving like
Yes.
early 20s, which is like no. At that point, I think we're on the cusp of 40, and I was like, we're too
Yeah.
type A for all of that.
Yeah. I'm way too, I like literally,
Girl.
I'm like, by day 4, I'm ready to go.
Wait, Fran will go on vacation, and by day 3, she goes, I miss my dog. I miss my
I do
routine.
miss
I was
my
like,
dog.
Girl, why do you go on a vacation? Ciao. Anyway,
You know what it
so-
is? I miss the routine of like my life. Like
Yeah, but you
3
know what?
days is good for me.
I would say the routine is what got you fucked up because you're going and going and going, and you needed a break from the routine. But 3 days
You're
may
not
be
wrong.
enough. 3
Yeah,
days may
you're
be
not
enough.
wrong. Yes.
But in Mexico City, these protests started as well, and they got violent. They
yeah.
bashed in a window at a Starbucks while tourists. I saw one girl running out of the Starbucks after the windows were broken, blood on her face.
Ooh.
It got violent.
Yeah.
And on 4th of July, there were these anti-American protests where they have the American flag, and on the blue part where all the 50 stars are, they took that out and put a Nazi swastika.
Yeah. I mean, listen, our reputation is not good right now.
Shot.
It's
Well,
and I feel that when I have traveled where I'm like, I'm sorry to be American. Like, I'm
Totally.
sorry. Like,
Totally.
don't hate me.
But it's
Because-
also affecting our business too. Our tourism business is down $12 billion this year. That's
Listen,
crazy.
if I was from another country, I would not want to come here. When you hear the things that Donald Trump says and the way that they are treating, I mean, yes, ICE is rounding up undocumented people, but they are also rounding up anybody that they suspect might be an immigrant. And then, Trump saying things about wanting to revoke citizenship. Yes, I could imagine people are going, I'm taking America off of my travel list, and I do not blame them.
Well, and you were the one who sent me that thing about the kid who had that meme of a bloated JD Vance, and they stopped him, and didn't they send his ass back, or they locked him up?
Yes, he had a meme on his phone, and they saw it during the immigration process, and they told him to turn his ass around,
Crazy.
which is nuts. And people are saying, if you are traveling, go through your phone and make sure you don't have anything in there that is critical of this administration.
They said delete the apps.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Especially social media.
Yeah, no, that is really nuts. We are full blown like sliding into, and I won't even say sliding. We are, fucking 2-stepping into authoritarianism. we in that bitch.
Eyes wide open. Okay. Doing the boots down.
Where them fans at? Yeah. So Delon, what do you think the fix is here? Is there a way to have tourists be respectful? Because look, I'm somebody who loves to travel.
Right.
Again, maybe I'm not trying to be there for 12 days like Delon is, but I like a cute little siesta here and there. But I want to be respectful. But at the same time, like, tourism does bring money back into these countries, and it's good for local businesses, right? Like, do you think there is a possible solution that's going to make everybody happy, and most importantly, make it so that the locals can still live in their hometown?
That part. I mean, listen, I think there has to be a solution, right? Because tourism is valuable to all of these places, to Mexico City, it's valuable to Barcelona, it's valuable to the United States, right? So the tourism industry is alive and vibrant. I think, God, we'll get to capitalism later in the episode, but I think what happens is greed. It's like, it's not the fault of the tourists. It's not the fault of the locals. What it's the fault of, it's the fault of like an Airbnb. It's the fault of like somebody who's a real estate person who's trying to maximize and go, how many properties can I have? And so I think what the fix is, Claudia Sheinbaum, who's the president of Mexico, there needs to be some kind of law or something where you limit the number, right? You say, per this square footage, you can only have this many rentals, right? And I think it requires some like data information and some kind of like way to monitor it. But I also think you as a developer, you cannot have, in these 7 boroughs, you cannot have 40% of the real estate. You have to limit that as well. And then people get uncomfortable. They go, that's communism, that's socialism. Well, you know what? Capitalism doesn't work for everybody, but it
Yeah.
needs to start working for more people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think what New York has done is they've limited, to your point, how many Airbnbs are allowed in certain areas, but they also make it so if you are renting out a room, for example, like someone needs to actually live there. It can't
Yeah,
just solely be a property for short-term rentals. So
right.
it needs to be like it's someone's home and they're renting it out for a week while they're out of town and they're going to be living there, or they're renting out a room. The other thing that I would say is when I think about why I like an Airbnb over a hotel, one of my big things is being able to have access to a kitchen and
Yes.
being able to cook if need be. So I think there needs to maybe be some incentive for hotels to kind of upgrade in a way that makes them something that people want to stay in. You know, when you think about
Mm,
how expensive a hotel is, um, versus I think a lot of people want Airbnb for the affordability of it all. I think
right.
that has to come into play as well in order to again give people more options to say, okay, we don't need the short-term rental. A hotel is going to be a better stay for us. It's going to be affordable. It's going
Yes.
to be give us access to the destinations that we want to be in. It's going to, have all the different amenities, but it's also not going to like break the bank. I just
Yeah.
feel like there has to be kind of a happy medium. Like I like the condo experience when
Oh,
I'm visiting
yes.
somewhere because it feels like I really live there, which is really nice.
Which is what you want, right? You want to
Right.
you want to be immersed in, well, this is why the locals are like, grr, but you want to be immersed, you want to be immersed in it, you know? So
Yeah.
I think something has to happen. I think these are really good solutions. We'll see what happens. I hope it doesn't stop, and I hope it gets better, because again, Mexico City, Barcelona are places that I would like to return to, but
Yeah.
I'm a respect y'all and stay out your space until you figure it
Yeah,
out.
and maybe there needs to be some sort of like what's their version of spring break where like the locals can take a break for a month or something and like that's when the tourist season is
Oh, sure.
versus them being there all year round. I mean, I don't know what that would look like in practice versus in theory, but hopefully they figure it out.
I know.
I want to talk about this Superman thing because the new Superman movie opened this past weekend to a $122 million box office opening, the third biggest box office opening in 2025. And I think last I read, like the biggest Superman movie that we've ever had, which is a big deal. But Fox News and the MAGAs, they
Shock.
are pissed.
Shock.
They're really mad because the director James Gunn said that Superman is an immigrant story, which he's literally an alien who comes to planet Earth. So, could it be more on the nose?
I know.
And they seem to think that that's so upsetting. They're calling it super woke as if for one, they don't know what woke
They
means.
don't even know what woke is.
No, it's their new N word, honestly.
Well,
Like,
yeah, and they think, well, it was Snowflake 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years
mm-hmm,
ago, and now
mm-hmm.
it's woke and DEI.
And
So like,
DEI.
I don't give it any credence or any space
No.
anymore. I go, whatever, you're just the
Well,
N word,
and
like you
look, it
said.
did, and look, it didn't work because people still wanted to see the movie, and
Right.
it is also just like a huge misnomer in the sense that superheroes have always been quote unquote woke. Like if you actually look at the definition of woke, which is just being aware of what's happening in the world, stay woke, keep your eyes open about social injustice. Superheroes that are literally fighting for the oppressed
For
and for the little
justice.
guy and for justice and going up against the bad guy. Yeah, they've always been fucking woke. So Delon and I actually saw the Superman movie to talk about
Mhm.
it. If you have
Mhm.
not seen the movie, I'm going to put in the description box so you can skip these spoilers, but spoilers are about to happen right here, right
Big
now.
toy.
Delon, what did you think about the Superman movie?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it. But I'll tell
Really?
you specifically why. I do feel like, who asked for this? Not me.
Okay.
I'm still, I didn't ask for the Henry Cavill reboot, but it had been a minute, so I was like, and
Yeah.
Henry
Yeah.
Cavill is delicious. So
What
was
did you
this.
think of this? What did you think of this Superman?
He's cute. He's
Yeah,
cute.
he's
He's
cute.
not.
He's cute.
He's not. He wasn't giving the same. It wasn't actually the actor's fault. I feel like Superman was just kind of like, they made him seem dim, right?
He was a himbo. He really was.
Yeah, he just was
Yeah.
like, the logical step is, and I'll give you a very clear anecdote. at one point, at several points, I was like, don't his eyes have like lasers that shoot out? Why is he not using them lasers? And then
Yeah.
there's another character that comes out later that is all masked, and it turns out Lex Luthor cloned him. And then the other Superman starts using his lasers, and then he starts using his lasers. I was like, that makes no sense to me. If you're a Superman, you were going to use every tactic that you have. So like he was kind of whatever.
Yeah, he was kind of like bumbling, and like he kind of didn't have, and I'm not like a big superhero person, but he didn't have the smarts and like the authoritativeness of like, I'm fucking Superman. He kind of was like, oh shucks, guys, like
yeah. Well, and there's an innocence to him. There's a guilelessness to that character. He's very vulnerable, but this guy was just like, I don't know what's happening, and I was like, you're stupid. You know, that makes I didn't believe that. I didn't believe that based on like the Christopher Reeves of it all and the Henry Cavill. The other thing is like this whole film to me felt like an ad for them or a trailer for the other characters that they want, other universes that they want to introduce, which I was like, this is gross. There was no context for these characters. We didn't know where they came from. There's a bird lady. There's a bird lady.
Cracking yourself up. Yeah, the bird lady.
Who's like, screaming. The bird lady. There's a man who's in a wheelchair. I only say wheelchair because he doesn't move. It's an invisible, not in an actual wheelchair. It's a chair that flies, but he looks like he's in a wheelchair because he has
Mr.
like the
Terrific.
Mr. Terrific, which is a bootleg Mr. Fantastic, different powers. And then who's the other guy? The Green Lantern guy.
I don't know, with that terrible ass haircut. Oh my God.
That old Three Stooges ass bowl haircut. God.
I was glad that Lois called out his bad haircut.
That stupid ass wig. And then Supergirl comes in and the fucking dog. It felt like they were trying to. Dog. Did you?
I'm sorry. I was like,
they're trying to Disney-fy the whole thing. I don't know.
And I will say, maybe because it spoke to me because that was a bad dog, and I was like, as someone that was a bad dog.
It was giving flex. It was flex coded. Definitely flex coded.
He was biting people. He
Not
didn't listen.
Didn't
listen. I was like, no, wait a second. That's my man. It was okay. I thought it was fine. The thing that I didn't like, and maybe this is just like a superhero thing, was all of the exposition. There were so many moments where they were like, now we have to explain the time traveled rip in the currency and the blah, blah, blah. Like, there was just so much explanation of things. And I understand, like, we need to understand the science of, they made these portals that go to different places in the world. And, this is where I locked up all the people that have done me wrong. And this guy has these powers. But I felt like so much time was spent on that. If we had cut all of the to me, every single time.
Where's the shit come from? I was like, could you explain how this happened? Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like, yes, they did kind of drop you into the movie. Like at the very beginning, there was kind of like a long, there was a very long list of like, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened.
3 months, and
So I kind of understood that they were kind of, instead of giving you an origin story, which we've seen a bajillion times, they were kind of giving you a slice of Superman's life, like a day in the life. And, where do they live? Metropolis City or something?
Yeah.
Metropolis. So like, I kind of understood that. But at the same time, there was just so many moments where like the guy was like, yes, it's because I cloned you finding a piece of your hair. And that's how I did blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God, and I get it. Right. But I guess that just doesn't speak to me. I found it annoying.
You know what would help with that is that I don't think any of the just exposition was actually character motivated, right? Yeah, like Lex Luthor did explain, I grabbed a piece of your hair and then I cloned you, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't explain why he did that. I guess he yelled at one point, he's like, because I hate you because you're ruining everything. And it was like,
but even
I have no stake in that. I have no empathy for that. You're the villain, Yeah. But also I was like, I don't care about that. So I do feel like there was a lot that they dropped us into that I needed. You know what? I needed less character and more character development.
Yes. Yeah.
Fewer characters and more character development.
Yes. Everybody felt really flat. I will say, on the topic of things that I liked and what did work for me, I fucking love Rachel Brosnahan. And I will also say that, like, full disclosure, I've worked with her. I was
She's a
just,
friend.
she's a friend. Remember you met her when we were
Oh
on?
yeah, no, she came to come from away. Yeah.
Yes. I just, when she's on screen, I'm so captivated by her. I think she is so natural. I felt like one thing that I really hate is when I can't feel the like sexual chemistry between characters. And
Hmm.
I really felt like they fucking, like he putting her through the bed. You know what I mean? Like I,
Oh, girl, I
no.
was like, yes, put her. I'll watch that now.
Dip your celery over here.
Put your celery in that ranch, girl. No, but listen, I do like Rachel Brosnahan. I like all of her work. I saw her recently in The Amateur with Rami Malek on a plane, and I
Oh,
thought she was fucking fantastic in that.
I haven't seen
What was
that.
really great, I want to ask her, you know, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I've seen her in like cameos here and there, and like her career is what it is. But she's playing opposite Rami Malek in like dreams. It's like really kind of tableaus, or that
Oh,
so she's not super present, but she's his motivation for what that character does. And in Superman, they gave her a little bit more, right? But she's still like the woman on the side. I want her to be, and I've seen her in like a couple episodics here and there. She was in The Blacklist. She was
yes.
great in The Blacklist. She had a
Well, and listen, I first was introduced to her in House of Cards, and she is
oh shit, she was in House of
incredible.
Cards. That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
well, and what I read is that she was really only supposed to be in 2 episodes, and they really developed her character, and she has a very huge, devastating storyline in House of Cards, and she's incredible in that.
Yeah.
So but to your point, I think you were going to say you want her to be like the leading
Yeah.
lady.
And I'm sure she will be. Like her career is, it's going very well for her. But so I want to see her like be the star. But she had Maisel and everything. The other thing is, I did like they had a very human scene. This is the one thing that we dropped into that I really did appreciate is that Rachel Brosnahan plays Lois, right? Lois
Hmm.
Lane, and they didn't say that Lois and Clark Kent, aka Superman, are just meeting and just starting their relationship. They
Yes.
are in the relationship. That I
Yes.
totally dug because we get that. And they
Hmm.
chose to develop that relationship. They had a
Yeah.
really interesting scene where they're going back and forth, and that was very
I
well done. Very well
I
done.
loved this scene. Lois is interviewing Clark as Superman. And so it's like on the record. There's like this whole thing with the little tape recorder of on the record,
Mm-hmm.
off the record. There were so many funny moments in there. Again, to the himbo of it all, where he didn't know how to turn off the recorder and he was like getting really frustrated. Like all of that stuff was really, really cute. And to your point, Delon, I loved that the honesty of like, there's been friction in their relationship.
Right.
And she has obviously told him that she's not really somebody that dates very often, or she has not found success in relationships. And all of that felt really grounded and real. And I loved that. Like it was a great turn for me when she came home and he was in her apartment and she was like, hey, and they just start making out. I was like,
Yeah.
give it
Well,
to
you know
me.
what? I will correct you. She came home, noticed there was an
Oh,
intruder, and then she
yes.
grabbed the bat. And I was like, who just had? But let me tell you my thought process. I was like, who the fuck just has a bat by the
A
door? That's
woman.
so crazy. And then I was like, oh, she's a lady who lives
Uh,
alone. Obviously, she
mhm.
has a bat. She's not going to softball practice. She's gonna fuck
Yeah.
you up. You come to her
Yeah.
door.
Also, she lives in a city that is plagued by like
Villains.
superheroes and villains.
Right, right.
You
The
know,
best
like
she got is a bat. Right.
they're in her apartment at one point, and there's just like a giant like orb flying outside the window, and like fighting happening at
Yes.
one point.
Yes.
So, like, she's gonna try and defend herself the best way possible.
Now we've done this a little
Um,
bit, but is there anything you would fix in the film?
Okay. So I feel a little conflicted about this. I'm curious to get your thoughts. I saw a lot of people surmising that there was like an Israel-Palestine allusion in the film, and I
Mm-hmm.
did feel like it was there
Mm-hmm.
between like this foreign nation, and there were some shots where I was like, okay, guys, I
I
feel
mean,
I really see what you're
it's
doing
giving
here.
Gaza. It's giving Gaza.
Yeah, like there's a
Yeah.
fence, and even like the kids are
Yeah.
brown, and they put up the Superman flag, and like there's a
Absolutely.
very iconic photo of the kids, raising a Palestinian flag, and like on the one hand, part of me is like, wow, like that's really powerful. And I hope that this inspires people to start thinking about what's happening in Palestine and like advocating for them. But then the other part of me was kind of like, this feels kind of hollow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, why is a superhero film doing this? Like, like what they really need is, I don't know if a
Food.
movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, they need the bombs to stop happening. Like, they need the occupation to end. Like, it just felt like a little like we're patting ourselves on the back a little bit. But then when I Googled, because I was like, like when I heard people saying about it, I was like, is this really real? And then I watched it and I was like, okay, this, like, they're talking about how, the US is sending bombs to this country and like all of this stuff. I was like, whoa, this is like a lot. And then I read, and James Gunn was like, oh, no, like any similarities, that's just coincidental. And I was like, no, wait a second. So which one is it? Like,
but there was also like a green. There wasn't black in it, but there was a green and red flag in one scene waving in the back, and I was like, it's also giving. Yes, it's giving.
Yeah, and so like, on the topic of like what I would fix, I feel like if you're gonna go there and fucking stand 10 toes down and say like that's what it is, versus this like wishy-washy like, oh no, like I wasn't. That's not what I was saying, and it's like, sir, when you watch the film, it is impossible to not see the similarities there. And it's not just a matter of like timing, because we know the shit didn't just start like 2 days ago, right? Like this has been going on for a long time. And so I kind of wish that either they had like fully committed and James Gunn had said like, yes, I'm doing this because I want to start this conversation, and maybe he can't, but it just kind of felt, I don't know. Like, I felt like it felt a little cheap in that way. Does that make sense?
I feel like it does. It does. And I hear you and I completely agree. But I also feel like artists do this a lot. And when you aren't able to say the thing out loud, sometimes you slip it under. Yeah. I will quote Cole Escola, who did Oh Mary on Broadway, who won a Tony for it, which is this brilliant play that's still playing. If you're in New York, they are a brilliant comedian, brilliant actor. They won the Tony, and their play won. I think best direction and best actor they won.
I didn't know that they won that many, but huge honor.
But I bring them up because they're really good, even on like late night shows, of like saying a thing and then being like, what? What did I say?
Like winking at it a little bit.
A wink is a great way to describe it, Francesca. They won their award, and then they watched Nicole Scherzinger win her award, and then they said, "Oh, well, 4 more years." And it was a lovely way of saying the thing without saying the thing. And it's okay to criticize. It's okay to criticize. So I would also say,
but to your point, it's like picking your battles and knowing what you can say and what will be advantageous to say, and letting the audience kind of form their own opinion.
Well, and I hear you about 10 toes down. Say the thing out loud, because that's actually going to be helpful in the conversation and the political conversation. But again, to your point, they probably didn't feel it. Gunn, what is his name?
James Gunn.
James Gunn. I don't think he not have felt that he could say the whole thing.
I think that's a very compassionate read on the situation. I guess if I was going to say what I feel like they should have changed is, I mean, I do think like deepening the character's story, like the bad guy, like why is he so bad? Like I kind of don't really know anything about him. Like he was just bad. He was just bad from the start, which is fine. But like, I think I would have, the evilness would have felt a little bit more honest and grounded, but maybe that's also just like the comic book of it all, where it's like, I'm evil and I'm always going to be evil.
And listen, what did he have to be mad about? Nicholas Hoult is sexy. That man is so fucking cute. Bald with hair. I don't care. Nicholas Hoult is great. I'm a big fan.
And a great actor. I really like him. The range is there. Yeah. What would you change about the film?
Oh God, take some of those characters off the board. Like I said earlier, take some of these characters, because it's streamlined. What is the actual movie about? Is it and what is the development of Superman? Like, what does he learn about himself? I will say this: there's his parents from what planet is he from?
Ooh, so Krypton? No, that's Kryptonite. I don't know.
I think it's Krypton.
Is it? Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Whatever.
Sure.
I think it's Krypton. So his parents, he has this audio visual record of their last message to him. And then whatever his journey, he realizes that his Kansas parents, he switches that video out, and that's the thing that he watches from now on to feel warm and fuzzy inside. but I didn't really understand why. I don't understand why he needed that shift. It
Yeah.
happened, but why did he
Yeah.
need it? There was
Yeah.
nothing so that would have
I
been
mean,
more
I guess
interesting
they
to
were trying to
explore.
say that like his parents actually really that the video was real. Like I that was murky to me that they really did want him to take over Earth. That was what the video was
But even
revealing.
that, like, did they?
So I don't know. I agree
Yeah,
with you. Like I'm not really sure. Like they kept
yeah,
saying, "Oh, the video is real. It's
right.
real." But I felt like that it was manipulated by that girl.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, that was
Yeah, and
weird.
I would have actually loved to have seen a little bit more with Lois and Clark.
Mm,
Partially because like I think this is the most realized we have ever seen Lois
yeah.
in these Superman films. And so like who played the other? Was it Amy Adams in the other one? I can't remember.
Yes, and they
Um
had terrible chemistry. If you there
yeah.
was a side by side of their posters, and it looked like he was arresting her. He was just kind of he was standing behind her all stiff,
Well, because
like
he's
they
so
not
big. Henry Cavill
yeah.
is so huge, you know? It's so funny. So yeah, I would it needs some streamlining, like a little bit more cutting or editing
Hmm.
in the script on the script
Okay,
side for me.
totally fair. Well,
All right,
listen,
now
we're
let's
gonna.
get go ahead.
And you know what? I was about to say something in your favor. I was going to say in the editing of it all, I'm going to do a drive by of this Justin Bieber
Okay.
because you were right about the time, okay? You were right about the
Because
time.
we talk, girl. We
I
talk.
we I know we do. I got so excited. Our last episode was so strong. I was just like, I want to hit him with all the trending
You
topics.
hit it with your best shot. Yeah, no,
Well,
go ahead. Dig
on the
in.
topic of your best shot, Justin, this is not your best. Um, this album just feels really thrown together. And Delon, I know you haven't listened to it. I'm going to tell you, you're really not missing anything. It sounds like a bunch of demos. There's really only
Really?
ones. Yeah, he's trying to go for this like stripped down acoustic thing, but it doesn't sound like mixed. There are points where his voice sounds like really far away. There are tracks that are like 40 seconds and then the track is over. There's
What?
all these interludes with him and this comedian Drewski, and this dude is like, "Yeah, you're white, but your soul is black." Sir, cut that out.
Wow. He
We don't
really
need
had. This is a train wreck. This is part of the
it
train wreck.
is it is a train wreck, and I think you very aptly said this feels like we're watching just something that is just not fun to look at, and it's like y'all need to take care of this as a family, leave us out of it, and
Yes.
and it
Therapy.
it, it feels like the album is like, damn, here, just take it. Like everyone was
Leave me
talking,
alone.
here, leave me alone. That's what the album feels like to me, because
Ah.
he was crashing out on social media.
Yeah.
He kind of gave Hailey Bieber like this very backhanded compliment. Did you see this, Dawn? She was on
I
the
vaguely
cover of
remember.
Vogue, and so he posted on Instagram and he was like, "Remember that time I told you would never be on Vogue? Guess I was wrong, sir." That
Wow.
is
That's your whole wife. That is
that's
your
your
whole.
the mother of your child, like,
Wow.
sir. It was just really, and just it just feels like he's going through something, and
Clearly.
honestly, I wish him the best, but leave us out of it. And this was not the way to take care of it. And there's one song on there, I think it's Daisies. Did I write it down?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Daises.
Daisies is the only song that I feel like he sounds good. It's structured in a way that like sounds like a song. A lot of these just feel like works in progress. And I'm not a big Bieber fan, truthfully, but I feel like he has so many bops and so many hits that this doesn't feel
Yeah.
like a testament to his actual talent.
That's interesting. Now, funnily enough, now I'm like, well, I want to go listen to it. Not partially just because, like, I want to have the reference of it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also like it's my empathy too. Like, oh
Mm-hmm.
wow,
Mm-hmm.
but and also like you're allowed to put out what the fuck you want to put out,
Yeah.
but it does say a lot when your fans have a certain expectation, and
Well, to that point, the believers are going to eat up whatever he gives them
sure,
because they are
sure.
living. Like when I look online, like on TikTok, the girls are like, "Oh my God, this is my jam. I love him. My king. He can do no wrong."
To be a star, a musician, because y'all don't care. They don't care.
Well, I think it's a very specific type of celebrity. I think Justin Bieber has, all of the right ingredients, like the timing of it all. Like, he started out very young. And so he
Yes.
kind of like locked it. It's like that boy band era. Like
Yes.
the girls that grow up with those artists, I read something really interesting that was about why girls get so attached to male musicians is they feel like a safer place to put their like sexual desires because like
Yeah.
that male celebrity is not actually gonna pressure you or like
Yeah.
judge you, and so like these girls kind of like they almost make these celebrities like their boyfriend, and they
Yes.
attach them to like their adolescence and their puberty, and so like they are protective over them in a way that like as us as adults we're like, well, I don't freaking understand this. And so Justin has like really, he was so young when he first became famous. These girls, I mean, they are the amount of videos I've seen of grown women full blown sobbing listening to the album.
Wow.
I'm like, y'all are going through so
They
it's
t-
not even that good.
to your point, they grew up with him, right? That like that, yeah,
Mhm.
that Bieber was their version of the AI boyfriend that we're in the era that we're
They're
now
like,
in.
he said the N word as a teen. I said the N word as a teen. He's just like me.
Girl, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. Now let's hop over to complete opposite of the music
Yes.
spectrum
Yes.
to Miss Mary J. Blige. So like Fran said at the top, she's on her For My Fans tour. The clips of her going viral are tragic. There's one of her barely, the one I sent you yesterday, Fran, which I think you saw before I even sent it. She's like leaning on the scaffold, and she's like barely singing anything, holding out the mic, and then when she is singing, she's like.
Yeah.
Love is all, girl.
Yeah.
She needs to pull a Madonna, pull up a chair and sit down, or Mary J. Blige or Mariah Carey, and just have them carry your ass around.
And have them carry you out. Yeah, I was trying to think about like, is there a fix for this? Because it really does feel like Mary is at a place in her life and her career where she shouldn't have to tour. But I know she had a divorce that was very expensive and she needs the money. And so like what I want for her, and maybe this is counterintuitive because of the kind of music that she makes, but I want like a soulful cabaret where she's sitting with the piano. Like literally let her sit down and do
yeah, take a knee.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
totally,
I get it.
totally.
You need to get through it, but like, or give us like an unplugged album. I guess people don't really buy albums anymore,
right?
But like, could she do? I don't know. It's like a theater in the round instead of like these big stadiums. Like, what could we do that gives her the flexibility to still perform, but she's trying to do choreo, and it looks like she doesn't want to do it.
You know what? She looks like she's at the end of a Zumba class. That's what she looks like. You know, those last 4 minutes, looking at the clock, going, oh, God, how many more times can I shake my ass? Girl, she is rounding the bend. Yeah, she's got to sit down.
Or put her in a flat. Does she have to be in heels? Do you know what
Because, you know, the wig's hot, the jacket's hot, she's in a bodysuit.
Oh my God! Like the way she is stomping, she is just tired. It's a lot, and it makes me really sad because like
how old is she?
Oh, she's got to be in her 60s. I mean, listen, she looks amazing, but she also looks very tired, and I do not.
54. Damn.
Wow.
She's barely 10 years older
okay,
than
so
us.
I aged her way too much.
Wow.
But,
well, she aged her with all that movement or lack thereof.
I mean, listen, she looks great. She just doesn't look like she really wants to be there. And like,
you know what
I'm sure those tickets are not cheap.
Girl, you know they're not. Here's the other thing. Not for nothing. I don't know. Maybe she did. But my fix would be, girl, you need to pull a Beyonce and do a 2-month, 3-month exercise regimen before you go out on tour. You know,
I was going to say like making it more because, you know, Beyonce is still dancing, but she's really kind of giving you a more like toned down version of her dances.
The Cliff Notes version. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, she's still dancing, but you know, she's protecting that knee.
Well,
and then she's like, my daughter, like, here's my child. Like, let her dance
compared to what she
bit.
used to do. Right. When we're looking at Coachella, we're looking at other performances. She is with the dancers and then screaming her face off. I mean, listen, I would argue Mary J's already giving you the Cliff Notes. She's giving you what she get. I think she just needed a little more stamina if I'm honest, you know?
Yeah. Or like I think the Mariah Carey of it all, where it's like stand there and sing and have some
Yes.
cool stuff going on around
Yes.
you
Everyone
and
does it.
give us some visuals. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
give us like cool outfits and maybe
Mm-hmm.
make that the whole thing where it's like boom, different outfit, boom, different outfit, and just
Yes.
stand there. And like maybe she needs like some Mary J drag queens and they're doing all the
You know, black people are
dancing.
too homophobic for all that.
Oh,
But
yeah, that's fair.
but I will say this. Listen, I didn't go to the Kylie Minogue concert, but I was dating a man at the time
Oh,
who did when she
okay.
came through the Massachusetts. And that woman is not moving with those dancers.
Yeah.
She is, but she's in time with them. And
What
but
is she doing choreo or is she doing like a little
she's
step
doing like the
touch?
step touch. She's doing like the
Okay.
step touch. She comes in at a certain point where they're like all in synchronized, and then the
Mm-hmm.
dancers keep going, and then she comes to the audience, you know, a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
does so
Mm-hmm.
like you know, and maybe this is what we're class. We have not been to this concert. We are just seeing what's
Yeah.
online. But
Yeah.
like the movement Mary
But
J
these are
is doing is winding her.
these are paying fans showing clips from the concert and going, Mary, sit down. We worried about you. Like these are people who wanted to get the show and they are not getting the show. And
Right.
so to your point, how do we refigure this so that it's still really fun for the audience and also is conserving her energy because mama wants to
Or
sit down.
or pull a Paula Abdul and just bring out an oxygen tank. So that's what Paul is doing on her
She
tour.
did
You ain't see this?
really?
Girl, she
No.
pulled out an oxygen mask. She pulled out an oxygen mask and is breathing, and everyone was like laughing. And she was like, "Oh no,
Oh
you
no,
think
this is
I need this?" She's like, "You think I can't do
oh
this
no,
anymore?"
I
Oh
have
God,
not
yes, oxygen mask, girl,
damn. Listen, all I can think is recession. We in a fucking recession.
girl.
Like
Nobody
if
can
you need a
retire. Nobody
if
can fucking retire.
if you need an like honestly, that is so if you need an oxygen mask, mama, I want for you to be able to be home comfortable, taking care of
Girl,
yourself. That can't
girl.
be safe. Oh
At
my
all, at all. Isn't that so funny?
mm.
Her little 4 foot nothing self. That's so funny. So we wish you the
uh
best, Mary. If y'all go, class, if you've seen the concert, please get in the comments and tell us if this is not the norm or if this is the tail end of her concert. What were
yeah.
your estimations in seeing the
Maybe
concert?
we just saw like a rough day. Drink a liquid IV, Mary, and
Oh, they help though. Get those electrolytes.
they
They really
really
do.
do.
Listen, you turn me on to them after night. Shoot,
This
yes,
is not sponsored, but those will get you together.
they
Okay.
really will. Real quick.
Let's very quickly just talk about some comments from last week's
Can we talk
episode.
about the second one?
Oh,
Because he
yes.
has a clap back. You want
Oh,
to intro it? You want to
okay.
intro it?
So, if you haven't watched last week's episode, there's something about Zoran Mamdani. We will link it at the end of the episode. But this comment from Charlie, okay, Charlie, are you okay? Are you okay?
I don't know why that made me laugh so hard. Are you okay, Shelly?
Charlie says, you outing yourselves as capitalist in 2025 is wild. I know you're in your 40s and all, but, quote, I'm really starting to not trust the Democratic establishment is bewildering. But hey, better late than never. Still love your show and greetings from Germany. So, Delon, you want to take this one first?
Listen, Charlemagne.
No,
No,
Charlie,
I'm
okay.
Charlie. Okay.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I hear you. I hear your critiques because this is something I say all the time. I'm a full-on capitalist. Give me the
Because
money.
you got a few comments pushing
I
back
did.
on the I'm a capitalist.
I also got another comment that said, maybe you should just say you're in love with money and you're not a full-on capitalist."
Right.
And then gave me a bunch of stats on the 1% and 2%. But I also have the internet. I also can read.
Yeah.
Ready?
I always took it as like a tongue-in-cheek thing that you were saying.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem is like it's very tongue in cheek, but I do mean it in a certain sense in that to answer Charlie, are you okay? I first of all, you don't even go here. You're in Germany, girl. You don't even go. Right? We like barely have the same system of government, parliamentary, meaning like the European and the two-party system in the United States. That neither here nor there. That's me being shady, but also like understand. This is a very nuanced conversation. But here's where I'm at. Capitalism is the system in which I was indoctrinated into. It is the only economic system I understand that works. And let me tell you why. Communism, I give you Russia. Socialism, I give you Venezuela. I know we're talking about this democratic socialism now, which is just capitalism like. It's a way
Yeah.
of maybe redispersing income and thinking about everyone of the bottom, 80 some or 90 some odd percent. But like the idea that like capitalism is good, is inherent, me saying that I'm a capitalist, is not the truth. And I think
Yeah.
there's a conflation there. I'm not saying
Mm.
capitalism is good. I'm saying that it is the system that I know. And I'm also saying I grew up poor as fuck. And here's how
Mm-hmm.
capitalism gets you. Because I am now middle class because I did all the things, got an education, insert blank, right? And I now have a livable wage. Do I need more?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Would I like a lot more? Absolutely. But that's the indoctrination part of it. Give me $1 million. Give me assets. Let me have money to invest because it's something that's been so elusive to me when I grew up in a place where we were on food stamps. Ready?
Yeah.
So, like, I've seen it work, and that's the insidious part of it. So, the idea that when I say I'm a capitalist, I do mean that, but I mean it because it's the only system I know, and it's the only system that I know that works. And
Yeah.
so the pejorative, like, that's wild and, welcome, the democratic establishment of it all, I will give you that. Like, I perhaps too Pollyanna and perhaps too
Yeah.
hopeful, but I do see the system is what it's doing before, what it's currently doing, and it's starting to erode my belief in it in terms of the
Yeah.
government and the
And
Democratic Party.
yeah, and on that one of it all, because I'll out myself here. I didn't go back and listen to exactly what we said, but personally speaking, I know a lot of people tapped out when the Bernie of it all happened, and people were like, "We hate the Democrats," and there is like this big push around like using Democrat as a pejorative, and I see people on both
Wow.
sides of the spectrum say it, and I
Wow.
personally, I've always thought that that was kind of like made me uncomfortable, but I will say that similarly to you, I think what I've tried to do is um, be optimistic. And I think,
Mm,
unfortunately, that doesn't always work out. But personally, I feel like the alternative is to give up. And I don't want to
yes.
give up. And
Yeah.
so, like, that's why Mamdani has been so exciting for myself and others.
Right.
And I've tried to hold on to those bright spots throughout my 40 years. I often say I'm not like the most politically active person. I don't know everyone. I don't know everything, but I try to like soak up as much knowledge as possible. And I'm always open to admit when I don't know something and I want to learn more or I'm wrong. And I think when it comes to politics, I want to believe that there is a better way. And when I look at the alternatives, there's no way in hell that I could vote for some of the conservative politicians and policies. And so, and when then I look at third parties, I have not yet seen a third party that feels viable to me.
Right.
So, and I want there to be a third party that's viable. I saw some people talking about, the Working Families Party.
Yeah.
I do believe it's possible. I think a lot of work has to be done in order for us to get there. And again, I think it's possible. I think the lesser of two evils thing fucking sucks. I hate that, but
Yeah.
like
And I
that's the
mean,
situation we've been in for a long time.
the idea that like it's nihilistic, I think, to
Mm.
go, hey, we have to tear it all down. We have to
Hmm.
tear it all down, and from the ashes, a phoenix rises, and then that's going to start it again. First of all, I don't know that that can happen in my lifetime, and I want to survive. I want, I want a
Yeah.
house. I want to like leave. I'm not having kids, probably. I want to leave money for my nephews so that they can take
Hmm.
care of me in the nursing home, right? But like, I want to like
Yeah.
those are things that are guaranteed in the American dream, and I know that's a fallacy, 1,000%. But the nihilism of saying none of it works, burn it all down, I just don't
Yeah.
think is realistic. I'm somebody who like is a realist in that I think you have to work within the system to make it change.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know. Like I guess we become, Germany post World War II. Right? We become
Yeah. I
some
think,
country that needs to like rebuild itself, and I don't know if that's happening in my lifetime. And
yeah.
so I'm someone that thinks we need to try to work within the system and
Well,
shift
to
the
your
system.
point about the burn it all down of it all, I hear so many people say that, but then I don't hear them talk about like what then happens after the burn it
Talk
down.
about
They're
it.
like, let's burn
Talk.
it down. And it's like, okay, but then like, how do I help my
But then you
neighbor
ain't got no
who's,
shit.
yeah, but like, exactly. It's like, what has to be in place to create the new system? And again, I'm not saying that a new system doesn't need to be built.
Yes.
But I think that there's so much, and this was like what was really frustrating in the last election. There were so many people that were just like, I'm not going to vote because it would be better for us to have Trump because then it can all fall apart and we can start over. And it's like, yeah, but like when it falls apart, you know it's going to fall on us, right? Like
Right.
you
That
don't get
part.
to escape the consequences of the
Right.
downfall. And it's like, yeah, that's what y'all deserve. And it's like, who is this y'all? Who are you? I
Well,
didn't do it.
and you know what? It's giving evil villain, right? To take it back to Superman.
Yeah.
It's giving
Yeah.
like, I don't care. So like, you know, and I have a moral righteousness, and like
Yeah.
everyone has to suffer.
Yeah.
Where's the hope in that? Where's the empathy in that? Where's the like
Yeah.
the sense of the collective in that? And again, I'm not saying capitalism is good. I'm saying it is. Period.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, I saw someone. We can wrap here because I have like two other comments on here, but I do think the thing that I'm holding on to, and I'm threading this to the thing of like, oh, you know, you're losing trust, right? Is the idea that in order for progress to be made, you have to have a kernel of hope. You have to
Absolutely.
have, otherwise you just give up, you know?
Yeah.
And I've been quoting a mutual of mine on TikTok who talks about having slow hobbies as a way for us to maintain optimism for the future. And that so many of us have been spoiled by the immediacy of, you know, ordering on Uber Eats
Girl.
and ordering something next day delivery. And that, especially in comparison to conservatives, a lot of people who consider to be left leaning or liberal don't have the ability to invest in something and say, I might not see the results of this for 10 years, 20 years, or even in my lifetime, but I'm going to commit to this because I think it's the right thing to do. And that's what I'm trying to hold on to, where I'm like,
that's the strength of faith. They have
yes,
that's what they call faith.
right. And that's where the conservatives have us beat because
Because
they are
right.
used. They're used to being like, well, when I go to heaven,
Sky
I'm going to
Daddy,
get it.
Sky Daddy's gonna come, Daddy, gonna give me all the thing, right?
Yes. I'm going to go to heaven. I'm going to be a
Yeah.
freaking asshole here, but I'm going to be rewarded. And so they're able to hold out. And a lot of people just give up because they're like, oh, well, you know, this person did something I don't like, or, you know, whatever, they disappointed me. And not to say those feelings aren't valid, but sometimes you got to be like, all right, I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to stick it out anyway. I'm going to try, you know?
Right. Right. And sometimes you go, listen, I know Joe Biden's not the choice. And you know, and we can still criticize. Two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
Now we want to jump to the glow up.
Yeah, let's do it.
Glow up real quick. So class, you know how this goes. If you're not aware of how this goes, let me tell you. Now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, the glow up, where Fran and I give props to those who have turned themselves around without our help. Fran, what is yours?
My glow up goes to bar trivia. I went to a trivia night with my friend Miriam. You know my friend Miriam. And she and her husband go to this trivia every Sunday. And they invited me, and I was kind of like, okay, whatever. I had a great fucking time. It was so fun. And they did it a little bit differently, where there was like a lot of different categories, but every question had a musical clue. So they would ask you the question, and then they would play a song that was somehow related.
That's right up your alley. That's totally up your alley.
It was right up my alley. And like the clues were all like very subtle, and sometimes like very meta, and like had like little puns in the lyrics, or like what country is the artist from, or like one of the lyrics would answer part of the question. Like it was so fun, and it wasn't competitive. All of the teams were really cool. We didn't end up winning, and we like barely placed, but it was so fun. I felt like I really got to bond with my friend and her husband that I don't really know. I don't know her husband very well. And another friend of theirs from college. And I really had such a good time. And I'm telling people about it like guys, come to bar trivia. I went one time, and now I'm all in. It was so fun.
I love that.
What's your glow up?
So God, mine is always so cynical. So I have two. Forgive. So there's this thing called like wealth porn that is like,
Oh.
and I'm not promoting it. I'm
Social
not promoting
media.
this. Yes, wealth porn on social media, but also in media, right? So like thinking of that show by Ryan Murphy.
White
No,
Lotus.
but White Lotus is one of them.
Okay.
But Capote versus Swans,
Okay.
Sirens with Julianne Moore, right?
Okay.
All of these things are the Real Housewives, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so much media that we consume that like is talking about people's affluence and you know, causing us to want it or desire. It's called wealth porn, and I think there's the reason I brought it up is because I think there's starting to be a turn. I've never heard this term, but I heard it on socials, and I was like, "Wow, I can see the ways in which I engage in that."
Oh yeah,
and but it's starting to turn. Society is starting to go. I give you the Jeff Bezos wedding, right? People are starting to be. That is ridiculous.
The Luigi of it all. Luigi happened, and motherfuckers were like, "That's right, eat the rich."
Totally, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just a really interesting thing. The idea that society is starting to turn on that, and I think it's good. I think it's part of, you know, Annie, are you okay? What's that reader's name?
We're calling them that. I don't think that was the name, but that was just what I heard.
Annie, are you okay? It is part of, I think, what is good about society and all of us having a sense of the collective and being like, this is, you know,
yes,
not bad, but
it's
criticizing
moving towards
capitalism.
It's moving towards class consciousness. The idea that we are, that people are realizing that class is, you know, not to say that race and gender and sexuality aren't important, but realizing that class is a place that we can all come together on and advance us forward. And I think you're right that the extreme tone deafness that we're seeing on social media, like the overconsumption,
the Blue Origin flight, the like,
oh my
all
God,
of this,
where
stuff.
People are just like, read the motherfucking room.
Right. Well, and to your point about class consciousness, it's just, you mentioned, you know, sexism, racism, all those things. It's actually time for that, right? It's that ism's time, if you know, if we're going to add that. And then the fun one that I have is just, I cannot stop seeing mustaches everywhere. Every man has a fucking mustache. And I say that as someone who had a beard.
Recession indicator.
You got to save on the races. Every man has taken us back to 1975 with these mustaches. And some of y'all, I'm like, I want to smell it. And other ones, I'm
a little flavor saver. Is that what they call it?
Totally. And some of y'all, I'm like,
are you feeling jealous because you miss your beard?
I've actually chosen to keep shaving it. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, really? The play's over. The play's over for weeks. I just have kept shaving it. I might bring it back when the fall hits. I might go like, my hair's back. But I was getting a little of attention because it was gone, and so I was like, let me stick with it.
Oh, do you notice a different type hitting on you, sans beard?
I do, but I also think this is so superficial, but he's also been working out, and so I think it might also be the body.
I see the shoulders. I see the bolder shoulders.
Girl,
I see them. Yeah.
Girl.
Okay,
and
Second
this right
Amendment. Gun show.
You know, y'all, I'm flex. Oh, well, what's on YouTube? So now you can't see me flex.
We're on YouTube now. You can't see it.
I was hanging out with a friend, right? And I like was stretching, and he like looked at my bicep, and I was like, "Oh, you want some of this?" So I think it's also that he's having an era. He's in an era, you know.
And you feel like the clean shaven kind of like complements it.
I think so.
In a different way. Okay.
I think so. Because you remember when we talked about this, everyone had a beard, and beards were everywhere, and then they just kind of fell off, and now it's mustache central. So I don't think I'm getting one of those, but
I haven't noticed. I don't think the stashes have hit Los Angeles in the same way.
Are they still in beard mode over there?
I don't know. I feel like I have man blindness. I don't really be checking for y'all like that. So maybe they do. I don't know.
You literally had to go like, what's the last time?
I don't know. Do men live in this building? I don't even know.
The only man I know is my man, my dog. Okay.
That's the truth. All right, class. We went over time. Delon, you were correct. We're gonna
Please be
try
taught.
and try and tighten these up in the future, but we do want to hear from you. Have you seen the new Superman? Or maybe you would like to suggest a TV show, a celeb, or a brand that we should fix or cover in a future episode? Tell us in the comments or hit us up on Instagram at FixItPod or email us lemmeFixItPod@gmail.com.
And do not forget, you can also send us a voice note with a tagline for the show, and we might use it on an episode. So please get at us. You already know we're on YouTube, but don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you can get the episodes every Wednesday. YouTube.com/@FixItPod. I'm DeLon.
Fran. Oh,
sorry.
I'm Francesca.
I'm DeLon. And this was
Let me fix it.